Sunset bled through the haze as SlumG stepped to the pond's edge, the air thick with the uneasy hush of onlookers. Two Brew's wary eyes reflecting a silent warning, Zechag's questions fluttering like moths desperate for direction, and DoktorHenry muttering over tangled wires as if searching for a lost signal from somewhere deeper than tech could reach. Icarus L9's lantern sputtered beside the water, its flicker casting strange ripples over the trash-strewn surface where Northern Ireland gamer snapped photos of both birds and shadows, each figure anchored here by duty, habit, or restless curiosity, while SlumG's own longing for connection pressed him further into the liminal dusk, where reality already felt perilously thin. SlumG hesitates at the pond's edge, the stench of rot thickening as sunset burns gold across the scum. 2. Brew's stare hardens, a dare and a warning, as chat's rowdy jokes fade beneath a silence that prickles with something unspoken. DoktorHenry's gadgets sputter and fail, blurring the line between a signal lost to faulty tech or to something deeper, while zecchag's questions about escape routes snag in the dusk, and Icarus 9, lantern trembling in hand, mutters about spirits hungry for those who look too long. Northern Ireland gamer snaps a shot of a heron that isn't there, his optimism a weak shield against the gathering dark. SlumG feels the group turning inward, their banter thinning. He recognizes that crossing this polluted threshold means risking more than just a dip into the uncanny. It's complicity or flight, and for once he chooses not to look away, letting the dread rise, daring himself to see what the others fear. A stray crow flapped noisily from the trash at SlumG's feet, scattering wrappers and drawing every gaze to him as if he'd triggered an alarm. Two Brews shifted, voice tight. Something's off in the water tonight. Zecchag, tracing a bus route in grime on his battered atlas, challenged SlumG. You ever wonder what lands you on this side, not the other? While DoktorHenry coaxed Fizz from a tangled radio, muttering about signal ghosts, and Icarus L9's lantern bobbed in the growing dusk. Over it all, Northern Ireland gamers' cheerful calls about a rare heron sounded strangely distant, chat's banter tumbling from SlumG's phone like static, both masking and amplifying the tension. With the pond's oily surface starting to shiver in the orange light, everyone stilled, waiting, not for conversation, but for whatever breach or revelation dusk had promised to drag from the other side. A cold, silvery shudder ran over the pond's warped skin, warping every reflection. SlumG's own face splitting, merging with Two Brew's anxious eyes and Zechag's restless silhouette, as if the water was remembering old wounds and hungry for new confessions. Even as the chat's imagined laughter and dares spiraled through his thoughts, a sudden glint beneath the trash drew them all into a taut, silent vigilance. Something was watching, and for a breathless moment, their ordinary fears and secret hungers pressed together at the thin place between worlds. Two Brew's knuckles tightened on the embankment's crumbling edge, as if holding back some confession only the pond could speak, while Zechag's restless pacing slowed, his questions dissolving into wary silence as the cold shimmer traced circles around their shadows. SlumG, heart pounding in the hush, felt the chat's earlier dares and jokes twist into a single unspoken question. What secret hunger kept them all lingering here, haunted by the glint beneath the surface that seemed to watch and wait for someone to answer? As the pond surface fractured with a ripple of cold light, Two Brew's breath caught, his eyes fixed on the shimmer as if it echoed some old duty, while Zechag's hand hovered uncertainly over his atlas, the longing to escape warring with the sudden magnetic pull of the unknown. For a heartbeat, SlumG felt their hopes and fears tangle with his own, chat's laughter receding until only the uneasy silence and that watching glint remained, holding them all in the pond's haunted thrall. SlumG fled the pond's silent summons, his scooter cutting through the molten afternoon, as the highway ahead writhed and lengthened beneath feverish sun, the world stretching so thin it threatened to split. Yet in his helmet, the echo of chat's laughter and dares spun around him like a protective spell, half real, half hallucination. Every headstand challenge and roadside debate grew stranger with each mile, and though he pressed forward, the shadow of the pond clung to his rear view, reminding him that escape was never just a matter of distance, but of crossing some deeper threshold within himself. SlumG leaned into the throttle as the road shimmered ahead, sun glaze warping the highway lines into liquid ribbons. Abruptly, the scooter lurched, a chill blossoming beneath the wheels as his rear tire skidded over a slick, inexplicable patch, that smelled faintly of pond algae. In his helmet, the dares from chat, headstand, roadside dance, don't be a coward, G, spiked and tangled with the rising scent, and for a moment he nearly stopped, heart pounding, as the shadow of the pond rippled across the tarmac in his mirror, stretching impossibly long. He had to choose, pull over and confront the unnatural stain that seemed to bleed through the reel, or race forward and risk never shaking its pursuit. The highway, suddenly unfamiliar and endless, seemed to demand a price for escape, a sacrifice of certainty, the first toll for crossing into the story's deeper unknown. As SlumG rockets down the endless, sun-bleached highway, the pond's shadow uncoils across the asphalt behind him, refusing to break. Suddenly the headset crackles. DoktorHenry dares a headstand. Chat eggs him on. Clip it! Crazy guy Luell. And SlumG, half laughing and half haunted, pulls over and flips upside down in the roar and shimmer of the road, the world spinning as if gravity itself is arguing with memory. Farther on, a battered truck swerves too close, horns blaring. Snapping him back, he steadies the handlebars, sweat slick on his palms as a pole erupts in his helmet. Which beer? Kingfisher or Budweiser? The voices of chat swirl with the summer dust, blurring caution with bravado. Each dare and debate a test. Run from the past or let it ride with you. In the heated rush, SlumG realizes escape isn't just distance, but friction. The shadow, the dares, the laughter and fear all pulse together, forcing a choice. Either let what haunts him decide the route, or claim the chaos headlong into the dream-warped unknown. SlumG set his beer down on the cool ledge, the bottle's glass humming with condensation, and walked to the edge of the rooftop, letting the neon and festival haze of Udaipur seep into his bones. For a moment, the city's distant music and the chat's playful dares, dance for us, SlumG. Spin the wheel for another beer, felt weightless, almost unreal, like voices from another world. He pressed his palm to the railing, steadying himself as a sudden chill rippled through the night, not from the breeze, but from the invisible eyes he swore were watching. Something old and pond-black threading through the city's lights, refusing to stay behind. Instead of retreating, he pulled out his phone and snapped a photo of the cityscape, sending it to the group chat with a winking caption, as if to prove to himself he was still here, still tethered to the living. The act, small, deliberate, left him with a flicker of defiance and unease, the liminal boundary between traveler and haunting thinner than the air between his outstretched hand and the dark below. SlumG set his beer on the glowing rooftop rail, the condensation cold against his palm, and let the pulse of the festival drift up from the city like a distant heart. Neon lights shimmered on the lake below, warping the world into something half-remembered, half-dreamed, while the chat's relentless calls for dances and beer debates echoed in his headphones, oddly muffled by the wind. He tried to laugh along, but the unreality wouldn't lift. Every shadowed corner of the city felt alive, every glimmer on the water a mirrored eye, and in the hush that settled between songs, he caught himself whispering, "What if it's not just me up here?" Something shifted. His old urge to run twisted into a need to face whatever watched from the city's edge, the boundary between the haunted and the homely gone thin as the rooftop air. Alone, yet not unseen, he felt the lines blur. Maybe tonight. Understanding would meet him in the flicker between light and dark. Wind whipped across the rooftop, carrying pulses of celebration and the brackish tang of the city's ancient water. But as chat demanded dances and beer pulls, SlumG felt the unreality of it all press in, like a double exposure, present and past, sliding out of sync beneath neon haze. He stared down at the glitter of Udaipur, the haunted hush between festival bursts, making the city seem both intimately near and impossibly distant. The ache in his chest crystallized into a question. Was he running from the ghost of home, or circling it, waiting for something unseen to step across the thinning line? For the first time tonight, the rooftop didn't just separate him from the city, it became a threshold, and he realized the thing he feared and longed for was the same, to be seen for who he'd become, not just by chat or strangers below, but by whatever old longing still watched from the dark. As neon spilled like chemical fire across the crowd, SlumG caught the sharp, brackish tang of the pond on a stray wind and saw, flickering in a festival strobe, that same secretive watcher, a shadow threading through revelers, unmoored from any face. The revelation settled in his bones. Whatever crossed with him from the water's edge was no longer bound to place, but to longing itself. Every road, every reflection, haunted by the ache to belong. Under the stuttering neon, SlumG's heart beat in time with the music, but his longing, to shed the ache of always being a stranger, clung stubbornly as the ghostly presence flitted just beyond reach, never fully gone. Somewhere behind him, laughter fractured on the wind and festival lights splintered across the pavement, each shimmer a reminder that his hauntings were both wound and tether, linking the restless chorus of chat, the polluted pond, and every uncertain road ahead. A sudden shift in the music's pulse sent a current through SlumG, and as neon blurred across festival faces, he caught on the breeze the unmistakable tang of pond water, uncanny, as if the filmy eye beneath the trash had crossed the distance to find him here. In that moment, surrounded by revelers yet lonelier than ever, he understood. The haunting was braided through every step, every choice, and every yearning to belong. The supernatural, never just outside, but stitched into the ache he carried from roadside pond to city night. Alone on the silent rooftop, SlumG's reflection in the glass undulated, merging with the night's humid breath as he whispered into chat about fate's hidden threads and the possibility that every roadside encounter was a spirit in disguise. The city's festival pulse drifted up from below, but he felt suspended between worlds, still searching, still haunted, his longing for connection echoing back at him in the ripple of his own uncertain face. Back in the gentle hush of his hotel room, SlumG sat cross-legged amid tangled wires, the soft blue glow of his gadgets flickering like will-o'-the-wisps, his mind still circling the pond's shadow that now lived inside him as a quiet ache. The chat's voices, tender and reflective, drifted through the static, less like spectators than companions, while he realized that the journey's true haunting was not what waited beneath the surface, but what he carried forward. The longing to belong, the hope that even blurred edges can hold meaning.